At the corner of my desk, nestled between armies of acrylic standees and stacks of tankobon, is a round yellow plushie of a great jagress. No matter how many times I've seen it, I still start laughing whenever I see this plushie, trying to consume this Aptonoth in one bite with its enormously derpy mouth. However, this hilarious great jagress isn't just a source of comic relief. It's also the oldest piece of merchandise that I own. The very first plushie that I bought to commemorate the series that changed my life forever. For most of my young life, my exposure to video games was very limited. I'd loved my brief moments playing the colorful Pokemon Ruby and the emotional story of Ocarina of Time, but I was largely cut off from these hobbies, as video games were considered a boy's hobby and therefore inappropriate for a girl like me. Any game that I owned was a hand-me-down, discarded from one of the boys who had grown tired of it, and the time I had to play these games was often relegated to the late hours of the night, when no one would disturb me as I tried to play under the cover of darkness. But when I became a working adult, things started to change for the better. I finally had the opportunity and income to purchase my own games, ones that I could play in broad daylight without needing to huddle over cracked and fading screens. So, in my mid-20s, I purchased a brand new console of my very own, and as I started to make up for lost time, I attempted the most ambitious series of my gaming career. Of all the games I'd seen in my youth, the one that held the most legendary status was the Monster Hunter series. Capcom's long-running series of monster hunting games was both beloved and feared by its own fans, as it not only had a steep learning curve, but tutorials, gameplay guides, and co-op capabilities were very sparse for fans outside of Asia. All of this, combined with the difficult gameplay, made Monster Hunter into the boogeyman of the gaming world, where only the most determined players would bother attempting the series. However, I'd started my gaming journey at the perfect moment, as Monster Hunter World had just launched, changing the series forever. Not only was the game substantially more approachable for new players, with tons of helpful in-game tutorials and NPCs, but Monster Hunter World was marketed at a global audience, allowing for easily accessible co-op hunts and sharing of knowledge. Almost overnight, Monster Hunter went from a fringe series to a global phenomenon, drawing in new players who were dying to finally learn the game they had avoided for years. And I was among them. On that fateful day in 2018, I sat down with the PS4, booted up the game, and began my first real hunt in Monster Hunter World. As I chased down my first great jagress, I could feel my heart excitedly beating in my chest. The game was certainly more difficult than anything I'd played before, particularly with my inexperience with quick camera controls, but I was consumed with exhilaration at every turn, feeling my confidence grow with every successful flurry of blows. When the monster was finally slain, my ears were filled with the excited cheers of the enthusiastic handler and my furry palico companion, celebrating my first successful hunt. I'd always wanted to try a Monster Hunter game, but this was more intoxicating than I could have imagined. In just a few minutes, that singular hunt had changed the trajectory of my life forever, solidifying a gaming obsession that has blessed me with lifelong friendships and a mountain of beloved merchandise that shows no sign of stopping. This is the story of how Monster Hunter turned me into a gaming otaku. And how a little girl became the obsessive gamer she'd always aspired to be. Although I had adored my beloved Pokemon and Zelda games, none of them had scratched the gaming itch that Monster Hunter satisfied. Monster Hunter wasn't just a video game. It was a scientific endeavor, a fashion show, and a welcoming community, all rolled into one beautiful package. Although I was deprived of video games as a child, the misogyny of my home life didn't follow me to the libraries and classrooms of my youth, where I devoured scientific research on genetics, biological systems, and ecosystem preservation. And Monster Hunter fed that scientific passion in its world building, monster design, and storylines. Regardless of which Monster Hunter game you play, you will always serve as a hunter on the front lines of a research campaign. As a hunter, you not only track down errant monsters, but you also help gather information and physical specimens for the guild researchers to better understand the natural world around them. Every monster you slay not only preserves the health of the ecosystem, but it also provides valuable research material for the guild to continue protecting the planet. As a narrative device, this is absolutely incredible, as it gives you an ethical framework for hunting monsters in order to protect their ecosystem, while also rewarding you as a player for helping to maintain balance against the forces of elder dragons and rampaging apex predators. The monsters and ecosystems themselves are just as well designed, giving you a sense of satisfaction and awe whenever you dive into a hunt. One of my favorite biomes, the Coral Highlands, combines elements of a coral reef with a vibrant turquoise forest, with monsters like the Palomu using the unique porous structures to hide from predators. While the apex monsters of the Coral Highlands, like the icy Legiana or the pink Rathian, don't even bother to hide their presence, confidently flying through the coral forests in a manner similar to their underwater brethren, like reef sharks and barracuda. These ecosystems bring the monsters and the world they inhabit to life, lending a sense of wonder and appreciation for every creature that exists in this series. No monster exemplifies this better than my beloved Mizutsune. To facilitate its semi-aquatic lifestyle, the Mizutsune is covered in a combination of waterproof fur and scales, allowing it to easily navigate waterways and brief patches of land in search of food. However, its most notable biological trait lies in the Mizutsune's ability to secrete a soapy fluid to quickly glide through its territory, while simultaneously tripping up prey and predators alike. The sheer level of creativity that goes into Monster Hunter is astonishing. Every Monster Hunter ecosystem is filled with unique plants, insects, and endemic life that coexist with each other. All of this would have been enough to make me an obsessive fan of Monster Hunter's world building, but what fully hooked me on the games was the fact that you can craft gear from the literal skin and bones of the monsters that you hunt, which is an insanely satisfying gameplay loop. Love that Mizutsune's beautiful fins and scales. hunted enough times, and now you can also wear an insanely stylish outfit on future hunts. Are you jealous of how Nargacuga can swipe you from afar with its tail spikes? Well, carve those same tail spikes from its corpse to fashion yourself an armory of lethally gorgeous weapons. Every monster that you hunt rewards you with materials to create better armor and weapons, while also adopting the incredible fashion of the monsters themselves. This mechanic is so addictive that most players become fashion hunters in their pursuit of the most iconic Monster Hunter outfits and weapons. As a proud fashion hunter myself, we stan excellent monster fashion just as much as we stan sustainable ecosystems. Equally important to my obsession with Monster Hunter is the community that forms around it and within it. Regardless of which game you play, each Hunter's Guild is part of a community filled with blacksmiths, cooks, farmers, and local townsfolk who befriend and work alongside the guild researchers. Each game incentivizes you not only to befriend these people, but share meals and drinks together, celebrate your accomplishments, and help each other in times of need. I often found myself prioritizing side quests for guild members and villagers over the main story because I was so invested in getting them the provisions and resources that they needed. I am equally obsessed with every furry friend that you meet in the story, and the developers clearly are as well, as these friends are given unique animations and lavish cutscenes to celebrate the charm of the Monster Hunter universe. But the community of Monster Hunter isn't confined to the guild halls. The game actively encourages you to play online with other hunters, whether they're across the globe or next door. And unlike so many other multiplayer games where toxicity and hostility are rampant online, every hunter is invested in making the hunt as smooth as possible, which creates one of the most magical gaming experiences. I can't properly convey how refreshing it is to hop into a hunt with complete strangers and immediately feel like you're all part of a team, working together to take down a monster and watch each other's backs. Even better, when you and a group of friends hop into a guild hall together, there is nothing more satisfying than spending an entire afternoon hunting monsters back to back, celebrating your victories and partying at the guild until night turns into day. All of these incredible things encourage you to work through the more punishing aspects of the series, softening the difficulty curve of combat by letting friends help you hunt, while the guild villagers will literally get you back on your feet when you're knocked down. As you get better with every hunt, your gameplay loop becomes centered on self-improvement, perfecting your weapon combos and fight styles for every monster while you gain new equipment and gear to help in future fights. This is what truly makes Monster Hunter such an incredible series. It teaches and encourages community building, self-improvement, and growing your confidence as both a gamer and a person. Before Monster Hunter, I was worried that I had missed my window to cement my baseline gaming abilities. Despite my earnest effort to consume video games as an adult, I was depressingly aware that I lacked the same hand-eye coordination and quick reaction times of my peers who had played hundreds of hours since they were children. However, to my utter surprise, Monster Hunter was the series that showed me just how wrong all those assumptions truly were. It didn't matter that I had only started gaming seriously as an adult. I still had plenty of time and energy to improve, and I could learn all the good habits and reaction times with enough practice and determination. After hundreds of hours playing Monster Hunter, I can now soar through the skies with my insect glaive, gently dodging out of harm's way as a Rathian charges forward, or laying into an Arkveld with a flurry of careful shots from my hefty bow. Monster Hunter has quite literally changed my life, making it so I can finally play the games I so desperately wanted to try as a child, and bringing me into a vibrant, welcoming community that celebrates the best things that games have to offer. By playing Monster Hunter, I grew not only as a gamer, but as a person. I realized that it is never too late to pursue your passions, and that sometimes you just need a push to find that better future for yourself. I'm forever grateful that I picked up Monster Hunter World all those years ago and showed my younger self a future where a girl can hunt the most fearsome and beautiful of monsters. If this video gave you a renewed appreciation for the Monster Hunter franchise, gaming in general, or continuing to pursue your hobbies no matter what, then that is wonderful. If you're interested in trying out the Monster Hunter series for yourself, I can confidently recommend starting with Monster Hunter World. It's still the best introduction to the series, teaching you the basics of hunting and helping you improve at combat through repeated encounters. However, when you're ready to try out more of the series, I would highly recommend Monster Hunter Rise, which introduces some of my favorite mechanics to the franchise: wirebugs and palamutes. Oh my god, I love them so much. Monster Hunter Wilds is also a spectacular experience with some of the best quality of life features, especially for us fashion hunters. But at the time of writing, it is still a beast to run on anything, not just PC. So if you don't have a PS5 or a beefy PC, and I mean beefy PC, you better be running this with the equivalent of a 4080, then I would recommend trying out one of the other games instead. If you're ready for a fun challenge, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, or Genult, is simply superb with tons of fun monsters and amazing set dressing, including the Mufa. Oh my god, I love my wonderful alpaca monsters. Please bring them back, Capcom. I'm begging you. If you want to watch me play Monster Hunter, I've also got a whole playlist on the channel where you can listen to me cackle as I chase after monsters and disco dance around them with the insect glaive and bow. My Discord server also has an official snack squad for Monster Hunter, where you can join fellow hunters to take on fun challenges and events, or simply talk about the wonderful world of this series. Thank you so much for joining me in yet another addition to my new series, where I'll be sharing my favorite games and anime, and explaining why I think they might become your favorites too.